Welcome back to Plumbing Around. I'm Scott Thornton, host and president and owner of Temecula Winnelson, which sponsors Plumbing Around. And today I'm here with Mike Richardson.
Yes, you are.
How are you today, Mike?
I'm great. Great to be here.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So I met you through the Temecula Chamber of Commerce.
Yep.
And you were running a peer forum.
Yep.
Is that what you're calling it? And what an enjoyable experience. I'd never really been a part of something like that. And so that's where I first met you. And I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. And then it popped up that you're running a peer group in Temecula area.
Indeed, yeah.
And so I visited and I joined it, and it's amazing. So you're a peer group facilitator, but what else do you do? You wear a lot of hats. What do you do?
Yeah, I do. I've been doing that peer forum work now, or sometimes called peer groups or peer advisory boards, for 20 years. And it's the core of what I love. It's kind of the work that I can't not do. And that's one form of the work that I do. The two other forms are I work with boards, governance boards, and also advisory boards. Mm-hmm. And I also coach and facilitate and mentor CEOs and C-suite teams. And all of it revolves around helping business leaders, everything from startups to global, billion-dollar corporations, be more agile, be more future-proofed, no matter what happens next, because it's an increasingly crazy, topsy-turvy world, changing at warp speed, and we're just not quite sure what's around the next corner. And so I help CEOs and C-suite teams and boards and people like yourself just be composed in the face of that craziness and confident, cool, calm, and collected that, hey, we'll just go with the flow and everything will be fine. Yeah.
Well, you introduced a term to me too that I'd never heard of, which is VUCA.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, watch your mouth. But what's that mean?
Yeah, I've been in this field of agility, enterprise agility, business agility, organizational agility, team agility, leadership agility for 20 years now. And the moment that you get into that kind of field, you run into this acronym of VUCA, V-U-C-A. It's actually a military acronym that came out of I think it was the U.S. Army College in the 80s or the 90s, as we started dropping special forces behind enemy lines more and more and more. We had to equip them to not only survive but thrive in a VUCA environment. Very volatile, very uncertain, very complex, and my favorite, very ambiguous. We're not even sure where the enemy is anymore.
Yeah.
And if your listeners go to, Google or their favorite business magazine, even, the Harvard Business Review, if that's their thing, or Fast Company or Entrepreneur, and they just Google or put in the search field VUCA, return, they'll be buried.
Oh.
Because VUCA is a term now widely used in the business world because it's a pretty darn good description of the craziness that we're facing. Just look at the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity we've faced this year, this month. I mean, this week.
Yeah.
It's just a great description of what it takes to be a great leader these days, how to be agile in the face of VUCA.
Now, when you're talking about being agile, what do you mean by agile? Not being able to, cross your legs and right.
That's right. Yeah, we don't mean physical, athletic agility or.
Because I'm in trouble
And if you Google agile or agility, you'll see a whole bunch of dogs running through hoops and jumping hurdles and running up ramps and all kind of stuff. So in the business world, being agile means essentially the ability to adapt. And actually, the biggest myth is that small, startups, small companies, mid-market companies are naturally agile. No, they're not. They are naturally frenetic, hair on fire, seat of the pants. That's not agility. That's disorganized chaos. Now, clearly, big companies are not naturally agile either, but many of them are trying to become more agile. And really, to be agile, you want the best of both of those worlds. You want the rigor of a bigger company, and you want the spark of a smaller company. And it's how do you marry those two things together for a mid-market company like the one that you run, so that you can really flow and adapt and pivot and live in organized chaos.
Yeah, because it's always going to be chaos.
Not disorganized chaos, because we know it's going to be chaos. How could it not be in a VUCA world? But it's a world of difference. It's two completely different worlds. Disorganized chaos versus organized chaos is a world of difference.
Yeah, and like you said, things are changing so fast now.
It's crazy.
It is hard to keep up, and so being able to.
I've been in business for 40 years. I've got hair and it is gray. I've been in business for 40 something years, and so I got into business in the 80s, where if you had a strategy, if you had a business model, if you had a sort of go-to-market plan, it would be fine for sort of 5 to 10 years. You knew that, well, in 5 to 10 years, I might have to pivot and evolve and morph. Now it feels like, 5 to 10 quarters, 5 to 10 months, 5 to 10 weeks. What worked, last year doesn't work this year. What worked last quarter doesn't work this quarter. What worked last month, last week doesn't work this week, or certainly is starting to lose its competitive edge. And so we're in this constant need to just be reinventing, and reinventing.
Yeah, well, it's like, the old saying, the only constant is change.
And what I like to say is, and the nature of change itself has changed. We now live in a VUCA world.
Yeah.
So we need these new agile skills to be able to not just survive, but thrive in the face of VUCA.
Yeah. It's just from my experiences, and I've been at my company 11 years or something like that, and it's changed so much.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So speaking of being in business or whatever, how about you give us a little bit of your history? Where did you come from? How did you get your experience? Because you're originally from
England.
UK. Yep.
Yeah, English. My wife is Scottish. We've been in Southern California now for 25 years, and we're American now.
Right.
Our boys were 8 and 5 when we came here, but they're very Americanized now, and they both live here, of course. We came out in 1999. Before that, I'm English, but I'd lived in Europe, the Netherlands, where I was a petroleum engineer working on offshore oil and gas rigs for Shell International.
Wow.
And I was looking at a lifelong career with Shell. Many of my friends and colleagues stayed with Shell for their whole career. They went all over the world, as I would have done. I spent 2 years working on drilling rigs, which was fantastic, a great experience. I absolutely adored it. But then they bring you in off the rig and they put you in the office as an analyst. And I realized quite quickly, I'm not cut out to be an analyst. I mean, I did it for a few years, and it was good learning. But so I decided I'm going to quit. And I'm going to go back to business school and do an MBA, which I did, the classic thing in the 80s. And then I was scouting around after 2 years of doing that at London Business School for what am I going to do? And I looked at the automotive industry, and I looked at some other industries. And then I came across an opportunity to get into the aerospace industry.
Oil rigs to
aerospace,
rockets.
Yeah. and commercial and military jets.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And helicopters. And so I became a program manager, and then a product support manager, and then a commercial manager, and then a sales and marketing VP. And then I got headhunted to become the first position I had as a CEO. And then I got promoted to run a division of businesses for a British public company. Initially out of the UK. And we had a brand new corporate CEO come on board, a very contemporary guy. And he wanted to transform this sort of oldie worldy conglomerate into a contemporary, corporation. And he gave me some purse strings to make some acquisitions. So I made 3 acquisitions in North America, 1 in Canada, 2 in the USA, one of which was in La Jolla, San Diego.
Wow.
And it didn't go well post-acquisition. It was the largest acquisition that this company had ever made, and it didn't go well. And so that's when I chatted with my wife, and I said, I'm thinking that I should relocate my divisional job to that business, and I'll wear a second hat of turning that business around. And that's what brought us to San Diego in 99, 2000.
Yeah. Was that a tough sell to La Jolla,
Actually,
California?
we spent a year and a half in Wichita, Kansas when we first arrived, because I had a business there as well. That was a harder sell.
Yeah.
But we actually really enjoyed it. And it's a more, cosmopolitan place than you might imagine. But then we decided I needed to relocate down to San Diego. That was an easy sell.
Yeah.
And then 9/11 happened, and the commercial aviation business was in terrible shape post 9/11, rather like during COVID, but not quite as bad as that. And so business was not going well. The corporation wasn't doing well. And I was very lucky in that I got my green card 2 months before 9/11. So I had options. And frankly, and I'm very honest about this, at that time, I'd been married 11 years. I had boys who were sort of 9 and 6. And I had been woefully absent as a father and a husband.
Yeah.
Because I'd been traveling the world like a maniac. So I decided, with a freshly minted green card, I'm not going to continue doing that. I'm going to take the leap. I'm going to do my own thing, which I did in the spring of 2002. And I went independent, and I started building my portfolio of activities. I ran into the concept of a peer group, a peer forum. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing those now for 20 years. I do boards, I speak, I write, I facilitate CEOs and their teams. I'm a thought leader around agility. I love running my peer forums, and having you in one of those is just fantastic. And that's what I do now.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to you for making that choice, because that had to be scary, and it was a very brave thing to do.
It was. And of course, back in the early 2000s, 2002, I got a lot of corporate career types kind of raising their eyebrows at me. And one person actually asked me, are you retiring? and I said, no, actually, I expect to work harder than I've ever worked. But because I was able to piece together, a portfolio of activities around my passion, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm just in the flow of being with great people, working on great things with great possibilities all the time.
Yeah.
And so, I've been independent now for 23 years. And during those 23 years, on the side, I've coached many other people by asking them the question, are you open to the possibility of what today we would call a portfolio career? I had my corporate career, and now I've got my portfolio career. And it's amazing the number of people, especially during COVID and after COVID, who really opened up to that possibility and summoned the courage to do it. And I remember distinctly when I was considering doing that, we were living in Carlsbad, and I had a financial planner. He's just retired. So we've been with him for 20-something years. His name's Bill. And we were talking about things, and I said, Bill, I'm thinking of doing my own thing. I'm thinking of taking the leap. But obviously, that's a risk financially. And he's our financial planner. Mm-hmm. He looked at me square between the eyes. He said, Mike, come on in. He's an independent guy, okay, right? Yeah. He said, Mike, come on in. The water's warm.
Oh, nice.
So I've been telling that story for 20 years. Yeah. Come on in, everybody. The water's warm.
Yeah, I mean, what a great shot of confidence, though, for someone to tell you that and have that confidence in you, and then, to put your family first is amazing, I think. and it's obviously worked out pretty darn
I'm
good
so glad
for
I
you.
did. For the second 10 years of my boys, I was around, I was at home, I was able to spend a lot more time with them as they then, as we became empty nesters. And it was in 2013 when our youngest boy went to college and we became empty nesters that we moved here to Temecula because we'd always had a dream. We lived in Carlsbad at the time. We'd always had a dream of having a wine country home. I had a portfolio of activities, yes, with a substantial amount of business in San Diego. So I had to go up and down to San Diego maybe half a dozen or 10 times a month. But I didn't have to commute. And so we moved out here in 2013, and we just love it.
Yeah.
Just love it here.
It's such a great community.
Fantastic.
And
It's been so blessed now to start doing some of the business things that I've always done in San Diego, start doing them here.
well, there really wasn't the support here.
No, that's
I
right.
don't think for the community and the businesses here.
Yeah. Yeah. So doing the peer groups now is fantastic. And I'm just really committed to helping that kind of middle tier of businesses, not the smallest of businesses, not the largest of businesses, but the kind of business you run and the kind of businesses that your peers in that peer forum run. They're tens of millions of dollars, anything north of 10 employees to several hundred employees of all different kinds. And, there isn't a lot of support ecosystem here for that middle tier. Whereas down in San Diego, Orange County, Los Angeles, there's a huge ecosystem of professional associations and trade associations and all kinds of things going on, but there isn't so much here. So I'm dedicated to helping to change that.
Yeah. And that's great because the businesses you're looking to help are the backbone of the community.
They are.
It's really what supports everyone.
They are.
And I just know from my personal experience being in the group to have that support, the camaraderie, and just to know you're not in it alone, and then have your level rise because you're around other great owners and people.
That's exactly it. It's to have you in a room with other peers who are running similar sizes of companies in that middle tier.
Mm-hmm.
No competitors in the room, of course, so that it can be totally safe and
Mm-hmm.
you can be totally transparent. It's utterly confidential. What happens there stays there. It's not just about business, it's also about life. And what we're really doing is tapping into the power of peers, or we actually call it collective intelligence, and helping peers challenge their peers, hold their peers accountable, support their peers, and just be future-proofed, just be in business and life with the agility required to not just be surviving but thriving.
Yeah.
And so it's just a blessing to be in your life, and to have you in mine and ours is just a blessing, and it's the work I most love to do.
Yeah. That's exciting for you. It's I'm grateful for me to be able to be around those people and yourself. So awesome. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna shift gears because I'm very interested in the differences between the US and the UK. What are the differences you've found? Because you've probably spent half and half, right? Probably close.
Yeah, a little less than half here.
Yeah.
I'm in my early 60s now, as you can tell. So, it's obviously they are very different. The culture's very different. The politics, in some respects, are different but similar. Obviously, it's not that it's better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that for us, it really works for us. We love the fact that the USA is such a big place. It's so diverse. There are so many travel opportunities within, the boundaries of the country. There's such beautiful coastlines and skiing and golfing and all of those kinds of things. Now, obviously, I lived in Europe for a while, as did my wife. Before we were married, she was independently in Germany, and then she came to the Netherlands where we met. She's Scottish. So, I think Europe had that kind of appeal to us as well. But after Brexit, we were already here, of course, but after Brexit, Europe is still, of course, on the doorstep of Great Britain, but it isn't quite the same, United States of Europe that it used to be. So it just really works for us. We just love it here. I can't ever imagine going back. Of course, our kids are here now. They're both married. They're both hopefully, building families soon with grandchildren coming. And so we just absolutely have loved our time here. And of course, I mean, one of the biggest differences, which is why our two boys, when they were teenagers, they kind of romanticized about going back to the UK and starting their careers there. And I just said to them, well, hey, go back and try it for a summer. And they both kind of did. One went to the UK and one went to Australia, where my other brother lives. So I have quite an international family. And Australia is quite similar to the UK in many respects, at least Sydney is where he was. And they both came back after that summer with their eyes open to the wealth of opportunity that there is here in the USA. Yeah. And so they sort of grew out of this romantic idea of going back to the UK, and now they're solidly committed to the USA.
Yeah. What was the process like getting your green card and getting into the country? Because it's a hot topic now, but I hear it's just such a cumbersome.
It was interesting. Of course, I was a senior executive in a big corporation. I was doing very specialist, high technology things in aerospace, working for the top, Boeings and Airbus and airlines around the world. So when we mutually decided, the corporation, that I should move to the USA, the legal department, was able to get me a 4-year work permit pretty easily. You have to be able to demonstrate that the specialties that you have could not be done by an American equivalent. And they were able to do that because I was running very specialist businesses. And then once I had my 4-year work permit, I was here, then I was able to begin the process of applying for the green card. And again, they said to me, because you've got the seniority, we think that we can do that in about 18 months, especially if you do it through the American consulate back in London. So we had to go back to London for the interview. But it's a very, very, very heavy duty process to get a green card. Yeah. I had to show up with a binder full of paperwork like this, and all the forms that I'd ever filled in and submitted through the lawyers. I had to have a copy of everything. I had to have a police report from anywhere I'd ever lived for more than 6 months, and had to have my family with me. And then the day arrives where you've got the interview. 18 months have passed. You've got the interview. We went up into London. We walk up to the counter. I put my binder of paperwork on the counter, and the immigration officer kind of steps back, startled, saying, "Whoa, I'm not sure I've ever seen anybody as prepared as you." And it was so funny. It was such a great day because he kind of looked over the counter down at the young boys who were 8 and 5. He kind of looked at us. He looked over at them, and he said, "Do you think they can sign their own names?" I said, "Yeah, probably." And he got his stamp out and he stamped the paper, and he said, "You are exactly the kind of people we want in the USA. Welcome to America."
Wow.
So we were ready for anything. Yeah. We were sweating bullets.
Preparation is,
but it was just a beautiful thing. And so then once you've got your green card, you have the same employment rights as an American citizen. Of course, you can't vote. That's the biggest difference. As long as you behave yourself, of course. If you could commit a crime, a serious crime, then no, you'll get kicked out of the country. But as long as you behave yourself, which of course we did, after 5 years of having your green card, then you can apply for citizenship. And this time it's sort of this much paperwork. And so we pretty much got citizenship, I think 12 or 15 years ago, fairly straightforwardly. One of our sons is now a citizen. The other one hasn't quite got around to doing it yet.
Gotcha. So like buying a house was no problem for you then?
Correct. Yeah. Once we'd got all of that done.
Yeah,
and
I can sign.
It can sign and get
you
all
want to see paperwork?
Yeah,
let me show you.
Yeah. So yeah.
Real quick, food.
Food.
What kind of? So where do you like the food better?
Well, it's interesting because England doesn't have a great reputation for food.
Right. Yeah.
But
I haven't been there, so
no. But actually, I mean, it's you get the same food there that you get here.
Okay.
It's a fusion of all kinds of different cultures of food. Of course, England has, the reputation for bangers and mash and
fish and chips,
and of course you can get all of those staples there, just like you can get American staples here. Yeah. So no, the food is great. If you go to London or any of the big cities, you can eat anything you want to, just like you can here.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Now the beer is a different matter. The beer is a different matter. The beer is pretty special. I do miss the pubs. I must admit that is the one thing. And Premier League soccer, being able to go to the stadiums and enjoy the big days of the FA Cup and all of that kind of stuff, and get swept up in the craziness when England are in the big international competitions like the Euros or the World Cup. I do miss that, but and I miss the pubs. But apart from that, not much else.
All right, yeah. But hooligans, yes. And the beer's warm there?
No.
Okay.
It's like, I mean,
is that Germany?
You can get real ale in certain pubs that comes out of a beer barrel, rather like a wine barrel, and it would therefore be at room temperature. But mostly in the pubs, just like the bars here, it's all chilled.
Colder the better.
Yeah. Right.
So, what do you like to do outside of work? What's fun for Mike? What are your hobbies? What's your passion besides just?
So I love, of course, hanging out with the family and my wife of 34 years. We are fortunate enough to have a beautiful home with a fantastic backyard and a view. And so there's nothing we love to do more except enjoy the sunset and do work around the yard, and especially when the kids and their wives are with us.
You just had a wedding, right?
We just had a wedding of the oldest boy and his new wife now in Mexico back in April, and have friends up to the house and all of that kind of thing. Of course, I love going to wineries, and then mostly love playing golf.
Okay.
I've played golf my whole career on and off. I was never very good. I was never a member of a club. I could never master my slice until I came here.
Oh.
And myself and my youngest son, who lives locally, for several years now, we've been members of Temecula Creek Golf Club over at the inn. And every Friday afternoon that we possibly can, we goof off at around noon. We get over there and we get a sort of 1 o'clock tee time that we possibly can, and we play golf.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I have clubs, and I can make you feel very good about yourself, because I have not mastered the slice.
I have mastered my slice now. By and large, on a good day, I've mastered my slice. And my wife plays. She never used to play. She plays now as well. And my younger son and his wife, they play. So we love going out as a foursome, as a family. It's just a great way to spend a day. I equate it to sort of skiing. I like to ski, but I'm not an avid skier, certainly not anymore. But I like to equate it to that. I'm outside, I'm in the sun, beautiful scenery, I'm getting some exercise. We can do some après golf, après ski. What's not to like?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, especially in Southern California.
Exactly.
Yeah. So back to business. What do you got? Got anything new coming? Anything coming down the pike that's exciting you, or projects?
Yeah, so obviously what we've talked about so far about doing peer groups here in Temecula, Murrieta, and up and down the valley, I'm really excited about that. It's going great so far. We've got this first group that you're in with 13 diverse CEOs in it, and they're loving the process, and they're getting together for half a day once a month, and we take them through the whole process, and just loving it. Love having you in the group. You're a fantastic participant, and love seeing what you're doing as well. Then we're going to build out this bigger ecosystem of support. We're planning a launch event in November where we'll have a summit for a day and have keynote speakers and TED-style talks and panels and breakouts and all that kind of thing. So watch the space for that. And again, targeting that sort of middle tier of CEOs and leaders. And then I think, as you know, I did get invited to actually, because I'm so active on boards, I got invited to actually become the chairman of the board of Wilson Creek Winery, which is just a couple of miles away from my home, celebrating 25 years this year, of course, as a family business with a fantastic story, starting from nothing, starting from a dirt lot. And they really wanted to, build the legacy of the next 25 years. And so they've reconstituted the board. Some family members have stepped off. Some more external members have stepped on after a search and selection process. And they threw my hat in the ring with an external consultancy to go through that process. And it's just coincidental that I happen to live 2 miles away. Of course, that was a little added icing on the cake. And so, they invited me to become the chairman of the board, and we're having a blast so far. We're loving it.
Nice. Congratulations. What a great story that is. Bill just shared it recently with the group. And then what a great venue. Oh my gosh.
Fantastic venue, probably one of, if not clearly the busiest winery in town. Concerts, restaurants, tasting room,
great atmosphere,
member area upstairs, an event center for, where we have our meetings and summits and conferences, and across the street, the Manor, where it has 9 or 10 bedrooms where you can, take people for retreats and events, with a fantastic sort of communal space where you could get a chef in and cook together on all kinds of things. It's just a fantastic property, and a fantastic vineyard and winery, and not least of all, just won an award for regenerative agriculture. And
what's that?
That's where we're going back to nature, and rather than using herbicides and pesticides and all of these things that mass agriculture has used, it's ruining the soil. And over time, the soil becomes more and more and more depleted, and less productive. And it just turns to dirt, dry dirt. Whereas if you take a regenerative approach, then you're building the soil, and the soil gets stronger and better. And they've produced a wine over there that they call Block 9 on a certain part of the property, where they've used regenerative agriculture, and they bring sheep in to sort of tread down the dirt and poop all over the place, and just keep everything very natural. And the wine is better, and it is it's better at tasting, it's better financially, it's better sustainably. So it is just a win-win-win proposition. And only a few months ago, in fact, a few weeks ago, actually, Wilson Creek Winery won an award out of Orange County for being a leading, blazing the trail with the regenerative agriculture and a sustainable approach.
Way to get back to the community too, and Mother Earth.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
So I'm really excited about the next 25 years and what we can shape up, as a legacy for the community, for the wine lovers and the wine members, and not least of all for the family.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, if anybody wants to get a hold of you and talk about peer forums or all the other things you're doing, coaching, how can they find Mike Richardson?
Yeah, well, they can find me on LinkedIn, of course, and if they just search for Mike Richardson, Wilson Creek, or ref, they can find me, or at my personal website, mikerichardson.live. or perhaps we can put my email address in the show notes or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm here. Or if you can't find me anywhere else, then call Scott. He knows where to find me.
I can get a hold of him. Absolutely. Well, thank you for being on. I appreciate it. Great information. And I'm getting more agile every time.
Yes, you are, man. Yes, you are.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. That's all we got.
Cool.